Starfield is finally going to be getting some much needed updates with major new features, fixes, and content additions. And this is beyond fantastic news, especially when you consider just how badly Bethesda Game Studios has been getting thrashed by the community over the state of the game and the, to be frank, subpar post-launch support up until this point. And their replies to negative reviews on Steam and their most recent patch has left a lot of people with question marks above their heads. So thankfully, Bethesda Game Studios has responded to the criticism of this patch over on Reddit with a very hopeful message for the future of Starfield. Hey everyone, first, we read all the feedback here and greatly appreciate it and all the time and thought you put into the game. This update was to mostly address the pet asteroid so many asked about following our last larger update, and we wanted to get that out before the holiday. We've been hard at work on many of the issues you've posted and expect an update early next year that will include a large number of in-progress quest fixes as well as FSR 3 and XeSS. Though we have fixed several quest issues from occurring, in-progress quest fixes are much harder to fix, and we've built a new system to correct those without you having to roll back your save. We're also hard at work on many of the new features you asked for, from city maps to mod support to all new ways of traveling. Stay tuned. These will be rolling out with a regular cadence of fixes and updates we expect to have roughly every 6 weeks. If something can be done in a smaller hotfix in between, like the asteroid, and we feel it's safe, we'll get one of those out as well. Safe is the key here. We do take a lot of time to test even the smallest change in a game this large and dynamic. So, FSR 3, XeSS, alongside several retroactive quest fixes, are coming in a patch expected early 2024. This is crucial considering FSR 3 will benefit a lot of people, potentially in the future more than just people on AMD hardware, and the quest bugs are really bad right now, which while I was able to get around them on PC thanks to using console commands and mods, Xbox players don't exactly have the same option. So those quest blocking bugs are vital things for them to address, and I hope this new system that they've created will allow them to deploy those faster in the future. And beyond fixes and FSR and XeSS, they also mentioned city maps. A really highly requested thing for this game, which they could go about in numerous ways, but I think the most obvious is that they'll just map out the cities in the current map menu, and everything else obviously will remain blank. Now, they also mentioned mod support, which they previously said was also coming early 2024 as well, and I think this is something that could really make this game thrive. As well, I have plenty of issues with the base game, which I'd love to see Bethesda address themselves. There's a lot of potential with mods in this game beyond just fixing issues with it, especially when there's so many different things that could fit into a sci-fi game like this and have them not feel completely out of place like they would be in like a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls game. So it's just less restrictive in that regard. Of course, we can also expect this to introduce the new creation system, just as we saw with the recent Skyrim update, and as we'll also be seeing for Fallout 4 with its next-gen update. And while I've expressed that I'm not really worried about this system for Skyrim and Fallout 4, I will say it does worry me a lot more with Starfield, just because it's a game in progress, which is still getting major updates with new features and has upcoming expansions. So if they do introduce the paid creation system right out of the gates, my worry is that it could have an influence on their plans for post-launch content and new features. Because if they plan on adding a cool new feature for free in an update, and then a mod author comes along, one of the verified creators, and they've already introduced that feature and they want to sell it as a paid mod, that might be more enticing for Bethesda Game Studios to introduce it as a paid mod, and then they can sell that feature. It gives them that excuse to do that, which is what worries me. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we don't even know if it is going to be coming right away. We could see a delayed release for it, potentially after they go ahead and release all the expansions, do their post-launch support. Then we could see them introduce the paid creations. And even then, we don't know if it will have an influence on them anyways. But I am staying very skeptical about the system when it comes to Starfield. But then they mentioned the new ways of traveling, and I want to make it very clear that I don't think this means land vehicles, nor in-orbit flight, or anything along those lines. Two things people immediately thought following this post. Rather, I think it's just going to be something simple, pretty much one of two things in my mind. It could either be a system similar to the carriage feature in Skyrim, where you can use it to quickly fast travel to other main cities for a price, including those that you don't have unlocked, or they could just be unlocking direct fast travel in one or more ways, such as not having to fly to orbit, then land for some locations, or it could allow us to fast travel directly to the locked procedural locations with our ship, killing off the beams of having to run 5 minutes through emptiness from location to location. And honestly, that last thing would be kind of a game changer, so I honestly do hope we see that, whether it's related to the new way of traveling or not. But again, I just want to stress, I don't think this will be any form of land vehicle or anything like that, as that would be a massive update, as they need to build an entire new system around that with the vehicles to begin with, physics, animations, and then they need to ensure that it's not janky as with the wild terrain and varying gravity on different planets. Of course, it would be amazing. It would make the game a lot better. It's one of my big complaints, but I don't think it's happening. And just to repeat, they do plan on having these more sizable updates go out every 6 weeks or so, with some potential hotfixes in between, which is about every 2 months. And that is quite a long time to wait for updates. But if they do end up sizable, then that is kind of to be expected. In fact, Cyberpunk, for example, saw about a 3-month release cadence, if I recall, when it came to their bigger updates. So this seems somewhat reasonable. Of course, we don't actually know how many of these features are going to be bundled into each and every update. There could be a lot more that they're working on beyond what they've mentioned here. Obviously, I don't think they would reveal everything they're working on in this Reddit post. But again, we haven't seen a lot of that as of yet for this game, so it's a wait and see kind of situation. Now, obviously, as with other games, you can expect each and every one of these updates to break mods, most notably the Starfield script extender and address library, but occasionally some of the mods that require them as well. But with how little mods there are for this game right now, and with address library hopefully coming to the rescue in most situations, waiting for mod updates shouldn't be too big of a hassle with this game, at least for now. So I still really look forward to seeing how this game is shaped in the future, especially as someone who didn't exactly love the game. There were things I liked about it, but there are just so many major issues that I have that are deeply rooted in the core game design, and I could have probably gotten over that for this one game if the rest of the game wasn't plagued by a ton of smaller issues that bothered me throughout my entire experience. And I genuinely think that if they start to address a lot of those smaller issues, more people will be able to come around to this game, myself included. I want to see this game improve, I want to see it succeed, and I'd love to be enticed to cover it more often here on the channel, as I've honestly been so mixed on this game to the point that it's been the first Bethesda Game Studios release that I haven't really covered much here on the channel. And keep in mind, I've been covering Bethesda Game Studios games and their IPs in general for over 10 years, starting with the likes of Fallout 3 in New Vegas, moving on to Skyrim and Fallout 4, the absolute peak of my channel, Fallout 76, one of the lowest points of my channel, to here and now. I still cover their past games to this day. I've been uploading Fallout 4 and Skyrim videos as recently as the past few days, but for Starfield, this will actually be my second post-launch video on the game. So I don't know about you all, but I'm looking forward to these future updates and the launch of mod support, mods specifically, not paid creations. And since I myself want to keep up to date with the future of this game now, you can expect me to cover any future updates for Starfield and whatever comes out of the mod support for it starting next year. But until then, if you want me to keep on blabbering in your ear holes, I'd suggest checking out my video on the upcoming Fallout 4 Next Gen update, which Bethesda has finally broke their silence on. And if not, you can click the video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. After all, they probably know you better than I do. But that's it for this video. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time, this is Apoqsi, signing off.